BodyBags, where horror lies.
Welcome back to BodyBags. This is week number 413. This is a theme week, and the theme is horror comedy. I'll be your host, Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and today I'm going to be talking about Murder Party. Murder Party is a 2007 film which runs approximately 80 minutes and is written and directed by Jeremy Salzner. Now, he was responsible for some really good films, and I'll get to why that's kind of pertinent a little bit later. He was responsible for Blue Ruin, which I loved, Green Room, which is fantastic, and Hold the Dark. Now the stars: Chris Sharp as Christopher S. Hawley. He was in I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore and a couple shorts. Kate Porterfield as Ticketed Lady. She was in Aurora. And Macon Blair as Macon. He was the one I recognized right away. He was in Blue Ruin, Green Room, and Gold. Now, there's a scene in this film where they're doing a truth serum sort of thing, and all the hypodermic needles had sterile saline in them, and they actually injected themselves with them. Whether that's smart or not, I don't know. I guess they went for realism with this one. I'm going to get into a brief synopsis because there's not really much to say about this one, but I have a little bit of a history with this film. Now, Murder Party is about a guy who works for the police department. He actually tickets people who park where they're not supposed to park. Not a very gratifying job. He's very meek, he's very mild, and walking down the street one day, he gets an invitation that kind of blows in the wind called a murder party. So he makes a costume. he has this box that has all these Halloween costumes in it. He takes them and throws them aside and actually makes a costume out of the box, which really cracked me up. He actually makes a night costume, which I think is here on the front. It's pretty funny. So he goes to this murder party, and there's like 4 or 5 people there. And of course, they're dressed as different Halloween characters to pay homage to certain movies. One of the girls is dressed up as Pris because she was in Blade Runner. One of the guys is dressed up as one of the guys from the Warriors, the bat guys, the baseball guys. One of them's dressed as a vampire. One of them's dressed as like a wolf man with just a mask. And they actually capture him, and the whole purpose of the party is for this guy to come in who is supposedly some big time art dealer who has a grant for them. It's for them to actually kill a human being, and everyone who's there is artists, and they're supposed to capture it with their art. Sounds kind of confusing, but it's actually very basic. From there, things go really, really bad. And while the first 3/4 of the movie is strictly comical, the last part is actually a slasher film, and it works really well. So here's my little story with this one. I rented this when it first came out. It sounded like a blast, and I ended up turning it off 10 minutes into it and thought it was really, really... It just didn't appeal to me then. I wasn't really in the mood for a comedy, and I didn't know this was a comedy. And I turned it off, and after 10 minutes, and really hadn't thought about it. So years later, I was on a run with one of my fellow YouTubers, The Last Shoegazer, and we went to FYE. And they had this on the clearance section, so I picked it up. I think it's at the dollar store now, or the Dollar Tree, if you find it. So I picked it up when I was with him, and I figured, maybe I should try it again. The guy did do Blue Ruin, which I absolutely loved, and Green Room, which is also a fantastic film. Young director, shows a lot of promise. I'll give it another try. So when BodyBags asked for a horror comedy for theme week, I figured why not? I originally put Willy's Wonderland, but Um, I wasn't ready to watch that again because something bad happened around the time that I originally watched it, and I didn't want to bring up those memories again, so I decided to go with Murder Party, and boy, am I glad I did. I don't know what I was thinking earlier, but this movie is freaking fantastic. It's so funny, it's so comical and corny, and the end is just brilliant. It's a brilliant film. It's done for very little money, you can tell that, and I definitely suggest everybody go out and watch this one if you have it. If you don't, see if you can get a copy of it. It is so good. Glad I gave it another shot. And if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.